Welcome everybody back to the show. This is Rob Live. We are here in our AC unit, which is our downstairs studio. Jim, I love the way you set this up.
You know, we say that every show, but it does. It feels good to have this in my backyard. I hate to say that.
Yeah, no, this is a home field advantage. We got to say we love CMAC, right?
Yes, no, definitely.
CMAC's going like, what happened to these guys?
We're not done with them.
We're not done.
Yeah, no.
We're not done, CMAC. We are coming back. CMAC is a nonprofit in downtown Fresno. Beautiful studios. They have a large studio. They have a podcast. If you are looking into getting into something in terms of multimedia and you want a podcast or something on air, even if you want to do local cable access work, you can reach out to CMAC here. We'll put a link in the description. And we want to continue to support them.
Yeah, we're blowing them up.
Yeah,
our episodes are all over there. So if you miss us here, watch them there.
Oh, I like that.
Right? Yeah, it's a bumper sticker.
We miss it. We're talking bumper stickers all day. Anyway, I want to thank you guys. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing. We're trying to put the best guests possible we can encounter and reach. And we've been very blessed lately to have this string of consistent leadership from throughout the Central Valley, and today's no exception. I feel extra comfortable because I am currently sitting in a room of educators. This is my realm, and one of our educators is a legendary one. One of the things I want to say about our next guest before we put him on camera is that he has this very unique distinction of being part of 3 different Hall of Fames.
Huge.
I'm trying to get into one.
Right.
I'm trying to get an honorable mention, and he's in 3 Hall of Fame. So welcome to the show, Dr. Guadalupe Solis.
Hey, how you doing? Glad to be here.
That's quite an intro right there.
Yeah,
and I do want to get to all that, but I just wanted to start your journey through education and how you decided that was the field you were going to take.
Yeah. Well, it all started back when I was a little kid. My parents worked in the fields, and we used to go out there, and it was really hard work. And I said, there's got to be something better than this.
This is East Bakersfield.
And we actually started in Texas.
Oh, Texas.
And so we worked in the cotton fields in Texas.
Ooh.
And that was tough.
So I've never picked cotton. How does it work to not prick your hands when you're pulling off the cotton?
You got to do it real carefully because you do. But you got to, the way it works is you would go down the road, and you pick the balls off the bolls of the cotton and put it into a sack. And when that sack got full, then you carried the sack off the field, had it weighed, and then they took down the weight, and they paid you so much money for the weight that you had in your sack.
So not by the hour, by the weight.
By the weight. And then you go over on top of the trailer, and you dump your sack into the trailer of cotton. And then you go back in the field and go pick some more, and so then we moved from Texas to California, and we ended up in Bakersfield. And in Bakersfield, we did all kinds of crops. We did potatoes, onions, peaches, oranges, grapes, and all those kind of things. And
so you've picked all of these things.
Yes.
And how old were you when you were doing this?
I actually started when I was about 7 years old picking cotton. And then my dad, you were expected to do all of that up until high school. And so, although early on, my brother and I decided that, that's really too hard of a job and for not a lot of money. And so he and I actually started a gardening business. And so my dad didn't like that because then we couldn't go out and work in the fields. So our agreement with our dad was that we had to make as much money as we would make out in the fields mowing lawns. And yes, early on, we started with a push mower. And then we got an electric mower, and we evolved into a real nice trimmer lawnmower. And we actually had that business until I got to be a sophomore in college, but my brother pretty much did it all because he stayed back home while I was going to school. And he actually had the business for a long time.
What was the name of your business?
We just call it the Solis Gardening Business.
Okay,
And the funny part was at one point we got a trailer because we had a truck, but it was kind of tough to get it off and on and the equipment off the truck. But so we went to this one man's house who needed a lawn, cut and everything. and he had this old trailer in the back. And we all we said to the man, says, "Hey, what do you want to sell that trailer?" And he said, "Sure." He says, "How about if you mow it for 6 months, my lawn, you can have the trailer."
Oh, so it got bartered.
And so bartered it. And so we signed up and we took it home. And I remember my dad saying, "Where'd you guys get that trailer?" He thought we stole it or something. And so we actually drove back to the man's house, and the man said, "No, your sons did a good job." And,
Well, your dad made you go verify.
Because he didn't want us to get in trouble. You know?
Yeah.
He was very, he says, "You guys are teenagers, and I'm not sure you guys are doing this right." But
Did your brother end up also going into education?
No, my brother is actually a carpenter.
Oh, okay.
And he's awesome. He's a great carpenter. Ended up working in schools, building schools and refurbishing schools. And as a matter of fact, he was the main carpenter in Bakersfield City Schools District.
Okay, so he built the schools and you worked in the schools.
And I worked in the schools, correct.
Complemented each other.
So we spent a lot of times in the fields. I learned a lot about myself in the fields.
What were some of the lessons you can?
The biggest lesson is that you got to work hard in the fields. If you don't work hard, you're not going to make any money. So you got to work hard. And when you're getting cramps on your legs and your back, and you got to keep going. You can't stop, because if you stop, you don't make money.
Do you feel like some of that toughness that you learned, the physicality of it all, paid dividends later when you became a distance runner?
Absolutely, because we at least I did. I kind of looked at distance running and being in sports as kind of a job, in that I was fortunate enough to be decent runner. I wasn't a great runner, but and so there was an interest by universities to have me come there to get an education, and so I was very fortunate that I was able to do some of that. And
I want to tell a little bit. I want to go backtrack a little bit, Jim. I don't know if you know this, but check this out. I had a chance to meet, the great Coach White.
Oh, Jim White.
Yeah, Jim White, known for the McFarland.
Right.
And I don't remember when we were speaking or if I was watching an interview with him, but he said, before McFarland, the idea to get, these runners and bring them from these small rural communities, he said there was East Bakersfield.
Right.
So he referenced East Bakersfield. So you guys were the original McFarland.
You could say that, only because Jim said that. And Jim and I and his runners have become very good friends. Thomas Valles actually comes on. We have a Zoom meeting every Friday at 7:30 in the morning, and we invite anybody to come on. And he comes on, and he speaks all over the country. So we call him up, and he comes on Zoom and says, and we always ask him, "Where are you today?" And he spends a lot of time in Texas and actually even Minnesota and all over the country. And he speaks on making the most of yourself. Basically, that's his message. And what
he was the focal point of the film, right?
He was
Coach White. He was like the leader of that group.
He was a real inspiration. And to this day, I have amazing respect for Thomas. He's a great kid. He's somebody I think you ought to be part of this podcast shows.
Well, we want to be part of the Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, you're all welcome.
We've been invited now, Jim.
Yeah, you can come and meet all the local greats. In terms of running, coaching, and so forth. So it's an awesome
really
group.
Cool. Is that something you started?
Yeah, we actually started it right before COVID, because we used to meet in person at a restaurant, and we would meet once a month. And then, of course, COVID happened, and then we couldn't meet because some of the places got closed. So I just did Zoom, and off we went. And we're now in our 4th year in Zoom every Friday. And if I'm not available, sometimes somebody else does it, and they take the lead. And there's no real agenda other than we just talk about track, cross country, and athletes. And every now and then, because we're getting older, we talk about our doctors and what we take in terms to stay younger.
To be able to keep moving.
Keep moving.
So as far as your career and cross country or distance run, was it also track, or did you do?
I did both cross country and track.
And was it a love of the sport, or was it more like a vehicle to get you to where you were trying to go in life,
Well,
or both?
yeah, it's kind of fed off of each other. I think cross country gave me the connection to school with some friends that have a common interest, and we started in junior high school. We started running then, and then some of us didn't even know what cross country was till we got to high school, and then we were invited to participate, and so it just went on from there. And I was very fortunate to have some amazing coaches, have some amazing teammates that we worked with each other, and we form a fellowship. And to this day, a lot of the guys that I ran with in high school, we still stay in touch with each other.
That's amazing to be connected this long.
Yeah,
Because life pulls you right in different.
It does. And as a matter of fact, this week on Wednesday, 4 of us are going to Japan to go to
in Japan.
Yeah, we're going to go.
That's right. You told me this.
Yeah, we're going to go to the World Championships in Tokyo, Japan.
Who's the runner who represents Mexico, I believe?
Yes.
What's his
Lalo
name?
Herrera.
Lalo Herrera.
He's actually from Madera South.
Madera Cells.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lalo. Hope you get to
Lalo.
see this episode.
If you ever want to see a great interview, he does a phenomenal job. Wonderful kid. He is the Mexican record holder in the 5,000.
Wow.
And so he'll be representing Mexico in Tokyo, Japan. And so Mike Linneman, I mentioned his name earlier, that he coached him in junior high school. And so they've had this relationship. So we're going to try to have lunch or dinner with him in Japan.
And then watch him run.
Watch him run. And there's 2 other athletes from the Valley there as well. Jenna Prandini from Clovis will be running the sprints.
I've heard that last name.
And she's a sprinter, and she'll be running the relays. And then there's another guy, RJ, CR. His name is Robert. Albert. I forget his name. Excuse me for that. But he's a coach at Clovis Community College. CJ Albert. That's his name. And he'll be running the marathon.
He's a coach and he's an athlete.
That's right. He's really one of the top marathoners in the country.
Wow, right here in the Central Valley. That's exciting.
Valley. So it's really exciting. So when you have those kind of folks around you, it really helps you get focused and stay connected in schools and beyond. And I think that has been a real important part of my career, staying connected and forming relationships with like-minded kids and people, even in my career as an administrator and teacher. I've been very fortunate for that.
Well, speaking of relationships and education, I believe that you met your wife in the 3rd grade, correct?
That's correct.
So check this out, Jim. They met in the 3rd grade, right? Known each other this whole time, been friends. Don't start dating till when?
Till about our junior year in college.
That's a long time to wait, right?
You know, we would get, you know, what's funny part is that we would get together and have lunch when I was in high school, or when I went to Bakersfield College, and she went there for a couple of years too. And we would have lunch, and that was it. And then she would go. And then when she got accepted to the nursing program at Loma Linda University in Southern California, and so she went there. And then, of course, I ended up at Fresno Pacific University when they were called the Vikings. They were not the Sunbirds.
So Fresno Pacific at one time, the school colors were
green and white,
and they were the Vikings. And now they are the Sunbirds. And what's their colors now?
They're like orange and blue,
orange
and white. And white. Yeah. I'm a Sunbird.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, that's where I got my degree.
Really?
Yeah, my credential.
I didn't know. I never asked you. I thought you were in Fresno for some reason.
Well, I went to COS West and Reedley, but then for me to go back and actually teach, I had to get my CTE credential at
Sunbirds.
Sunbirds, right?
All right, you're a Sunbird. Or formerly a Viking.
Right.
Or
Didn't know that one, huh?
And a Cardinal.
Oh yeah, Cardinal. Yeah, he's from Rossi.
That's right.
Actually,
Yeah.
Cutler.
Oh, wow, Cutler Rossi.
Yeah.
Okay, so real side note here. Anyone who's from the Central Valley, Jim, I don't know if you saw me post this the other day, but I was in Cutler because we were picking up some donations for our nonprofit in Stratford that you know.
Yeah.
And I told my son, Panda, I said, Panda, you want to try something? He's like, what? I go, SB chips. You got to try SB. He's
I
like,
saw that you went there, and I was like, oh, it just brought me. But just seeing people there is like, oh, it just reminds me of my last meal there.
Yeah.
So
you've been there countless times.
We would walk there because my mom and dad's house was probably a quarter of a mile from there.
You know, I told my son that Jim was from Cutler.
Right.
Well, Cutler, you know, primarily, it's a largely Hispanic community.
Sure.
He couldn't believe it. He's like, no, wait, Dad, which Jim? I go, Jim.
Yeah, the white guy.
Yeah.
The white guy.
Yeah, no, he said that. He goes, the white one?
Yeah.
He's from here?
Yeah.
I go, yeah, why? What's wrong? He's
Well,
like,
there was only 4 white kids in my whole high school.
well, that's
so,
what
I
he
mean,
said. He goes,
geez, you know.
Dad, there's no white people here. I go, well, Jim was here.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
like,
and to your Lee Moore comment, we were talking
Right,
about
right.
you know saying words and where we're
Right,
from.
right.
My mom's old school, Arosa.
Arosa.
She my dad went to Rossi High School, and all of us went to Rossi High School. And
Right.
if you talk to somebody who's been there for years, they say Arosa.
Arosa.
when did it change?
It's just the
Just a cultural
yeah,
thing.
it's a cultural thing.
So originally it's supposed to be Arosa.
but it's spelled with an I, so
That's
it's
right.
Arosi.
Arosi.
Okay.
But I've no one ever. My mom used to say it. I never paid. I just thought she was
Yeah.
mispronouncing our own hometown. So
Wow.
No, that's
So Rosa, and then my hometown when I was growing up was called New London
yes.
because
Yeah.
the original London
Right,
is in
right,
England.
right.
Well, they dropped the new after a while. When I returned home to help with the library project, it was now just called
That's
London.
right. I think that's when I first met you.
We first met. Actually, I will tell you when I first met. Check this out, Jim. My kids are going to Stratford Elementary.
Right.
We're living with my mom because we've moved back home. We're looking
Right,
for a house in
right.
in Leemore.
Right.
And while we're there, the kids are enrolled, and it's like, hey, it's the Christmas program. And in Stratford, the Christmas program is an entire community event. Like even if you don't have kids, you pack it. So it's packed, and we're waiting for it to start. And while it's waiting for it to start, the entertainment, there's a man with a saxophone, and he's playing all these Christmas tunes, and he has a Santa hat on, right?
is
And
it
I'm like,
in that center area of the
no,
town?
he's kind of
that's-
off to the side. Yeah, no, it's in the gym.
in that little in the gym. Okay.
Yeah, but he's kind of off to the side. He's not on stage, and he's playing. I'm like, wow, that guy,
Just background music.
he must really love his job because he was into it. And he was playing all these songs. Well, guess who it was?
And this guy right
It was
here.
Dr. Guadalupe Solis.
Yeah, I love music.
So I knew him as the sax man. And then someone said, oh, no, he's a longtime educator. And I started doing my homework. I'm like, wait, he did this and he's this and this.
Yeah.
And then recently I was looking at, I don't remember what it was, but I was like, I saw, in the gym it has a Hall of Fame list. So I saw his name on the Hall of Fame list for Lemoore High School. And then I saw it at another institution. There was like 3 different places. And I'm like, how is somebody on all 3 Hall of Fame? How busy were you?
Well, yeah. As an educator, you all know it's a lot of work, and I think if you're if it's about the kids, you're going to work your butt off. You pretty much, you do a lot of things. When I was the principal at Leemore High School, I was the president of the chamber. I was president of the Rotary Club. I was the president of the West Yosemite League that we belong to. And so you're connected to as many agencies that connect to the kids. So that way you represent the kids into all these different organizations. And when it came to supporting the efforts of the high school, at least in Leemore, I felt like it was important for us to be connected that way. And so, I did all kinds of crazy things like that. And, they were talking about 40 hours versus 80 hours. I pretty much lived.
You lived at the school.
Lived at school, and fortunately, at that time we lived less than a half a mile from the high school, so I many times walked to school, and so loved my job as a principal. Probably the most challenging and the most exciting job I've ever had in education. It was being a high school principal.
So at Lemoore High School, you
Lemoore
were
High
the
School.
principal for 17 years.
No, I was there for about 8 years, I think.
Okay.
But at Lemoore High School, totally as a teacher, and then as the administrator, I've been there for 17 years.
And how long did you coach?
I coached for 10 years
Now
at
distance
Lemoore High
run,
School.
cross country?
I did cross country and track girls.
Okay.
So I was the girls coach. Cross country didn't start till in the Valley until about 75. And so Lemoore High School didn't have a cross country team, so I started that. And
You started the team.
yeah, the girls cross country
nice.
team. As a matter of fact, the first meet we ever had was against East Bakersfield High School
Your alma mater.
at Hickey Park.
Hickey Park.
And the coach was my high school coach from East Bakersfield, Chuck Wyman, and it was great. We had to meet, and it was fun to see him, and it just so happened that he was a good friend also of the athletic director of Lemoore High School, which was Bob Fraley, who also was the boys track and cross country coach. So I did that, and then during the track season, I was the head girls track coach. And
Okay.
I did that for 10 years. And
What was your subject at school that you were teaching?
I taught, eventually I taught my subject area, which was Spanish and ELD,
Okay.
English.
Yes.
And but the first year I taught arts and crafts, English, Spanish, PE.
That's 4 preps.
And then I coached, and then I coached track and cross country. And I loved it. It was great. I had some great kids, and you learn so much more, as we all know, in education from your kids. And I was real fortunate that I was there for the 10 years as a teacher and coach, and then later as an administrator.
Where did your career take you after Lemoore High?
After Lemoore High School, I went back to the university to get my doctorate at the University of San Francisco.
Okay.
And it was one of those programs where you had to go to San Francisco every other weekend.
So
I did
you're
that
commuting.
every other
Wow.
weekend for 4 years. And so
That's dedication.
This was before online. You couldn't have done it online.
they didn't have an online
Yeah.
program.
Wow.
And so if I were to do it again, I'd do it again. No question about it. I had a wonderful experience. I got to meet some incredible people in the academic world. My subject area was English learners. I'm an English learner, and I got very interested in that because when I was learning English back in the day, it was kind of a sink or swim program. There was no real
fully
program.
immersed.
Yeah, fully immersed, and it was tough. It was very difficult, and I think it took longer for a person like me to learn English because of that, and because many years, especially in elementary school, I didn't really get to learn anything because I couldn't understand what was going on. But again, fortunately, had some teachers that cared about the kids. And so I remember my 3rd, 4th grade teacher, she partnered me with this kid. His name was Francisco. I still remember Francisco Gandera. And he was bilingual. And she says to the kids, she says, you and Lupe sit together and he's going to tell you what's going on in class. And so I always thought about Francisco and my relationship as Don Quixote and Sancho Panzas. if you know the stories about Cervantes' works,
Yes.
Don Quixote was a guy that was fighting windmills, and Don Quixote and Sancho Panzas was the guy who got him out of trouble. And so Francisco was that guy, and I was the guy that was fighting the windmills because I didn't speak the language.
Yes.
So right then and there, I started thinking about that. And that maybe there had to be a better way to educate kids like me. And so I decided that I wanted to be a teacher and specialize in English learners.
Were you in high school at this time when you made that decision to become an educator?
It was more like in junior high school.
Oh, wow. That's very early
Yeah.
on.
And I just, because I saw so many things that could have been fixed that, you know, it just didn't happen because of the time.
Yeah.
And
I feel like technology's played a big role today too.
oh, absolutely.
Like
yeah.
Google Translate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, even then, you know, even translations was not a real good way to educate kids, because then there was no reason to learn it if,
I could just
if somebody
translate it.
translates it, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what when I went to San Francisco, I began to work also in Tulare County as a consultant and working with teachers on how to teach English learners. And in those days, and I'm sure some of you remember this, that you had to get a background in English learners added to your credential in order to be addressed to the needs of English learners in your classroom. I think it was called the ELD certification or something like that.
EL certification.
So I did a lot of that out of Tulare County Office of Education while I was getting my doctorate, and my doctorate was in English, the development of English learners programs, and which were the most significant and ways to do it and stuff. And so I had an opportunity to speak pretty much all over the United States, and I even got invited to Rome one year to speak at
Oh, wow.
at the international. It was called the American Schools Conference in Rome, and so I went there, and I had no idea about that whole concept of the American schools in Europe, and then they have a conference, and so every year the School of Education would bring us together and send American teachers and educators to this conference to let them know what was happening in the United States, so that there's a connection academically and all those kinds of things. And it was really cool. I had a great time, loved it. So I've been real fortunate.
Yeah, to go to Rome. So you were like the keynote speaker there?
No, I was one of the workshops.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And my breakout session.
What was really interesting, my topic was the connection between physical education and academic achievement. That was my topic. And I go, well, okay, so I can talk about track and cross country. Yeah. And I was a phys ed major with a minor in Spanish and sociology.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about your athletic career, because I feel like it was like hand in hand with your education.
Yeah.
So you started off cross country at East Bakersfield High,
right? And
then went on to where?
After East Bakersfield High, many of us went on to Bakersfield College, BC. They were the Renegades, and then
that is a cool mascot name.
Yeah,
the Renegades.
The Renegades, and so yeah, it was cool, and had a great coach there. We many of us that ran at East Bakersfield, and we had some amazing guys run there, and Valley champions and all this kind of thing, and so you either had to be really good or at least be competitive, or otherwise you didn't get to run very much. And we had as many kids out for cross country, like 80 kids out for cross country.
That popular? Huh?
It was very popular.
I didn't see that.
I was talking to somebody Saturday. I was at a meet over here at Madera South, and we actually went from East Bakersfield to Madera High School to run a dual meet in cross country, just between two schools, and they had a big squad. They must have had like 50 kids, and we had, and I remember driving up here in two buses for a cross country meet, and it was very popular in our community. When we had meets at our home course, which was a little park called Heritage Park, right down from the high school, we probably got as many in between 250 to 350 spectators to watch cross country at this place. And what was really interesting is the staff would come out to see the race. You know, I remember one year, our senior year, our rival school in those days was West Bakersfield, and they had won 2 Valley championships the year before, and so we were going to have the first meet against them, and we must have had over 300 people there that
so
day.
East Bakersfield
And West were rival schools.
and population wise, were they very similar?
Very
Populations?
similar. And West Bakersfield was probably that was the newest school then,
Okay.
and so they were new, and they're on the west side.
So does Bakersfield have like that side of the tracks and this side of the tracks type of thing?
Yeah, we're on this side of the tracks, and they were
So
on
were
that
you,
side.
I guess what I'm trying to kindly ask is, were you the rough school?
Yeah, we were.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get to.
I mean, it was funny because our mascot are the Blades.
A blade,
Yes, the Blades.
like a blade of grass, or
No, like a sword.
Oh, okay, wow. All right.
And so, but it hasn't. We actually, my friend Mike Linham and I researched why is it called the Blades, and the reason we researched is later in years we wrote a book about the East Bakersfield.
Oh yeah, what was the title again?
It's called The Blades.
The blade. I'm going to put the Amazon link to that in your episode so people can check out your
Yeah,
book.
it's called The Blades. The challenge, the effort, and the impact. And so anyway, we researched why is it called the Blades. It has really little to do with the actual sword. What it is in order to forge a blade that's strong and can cut and everything, you need to start with iron that is very tough and resilient. And so the first people that arrived to Bakersfield was during the Dust Bowl era,
Yes.
and there's a lot of Okie people that settled on East Bakersfield, and so they moved to
The Grapes of Wrath.
and all that type of thing. So a lot of those folks came to East Bakersfield, and so they were very tough and resilient people. And so when they opened the school, they chose that as the mascot for the school.
Now that you explain, that's very fitting. I wanted to break down the title of your book, The Blades, and then you had 3
The challenges,
challenge.
the effort, and the impact.
Can you break that down for us a little bit?
Sure. The reason we said the challenge is we all come from different backgrounds with great challenges, and certainly in high school, kids that are in high school have all kinds of challenges. Whether it be that poverty is a challenge, gangs, drugs, whatever the challenge happens to be, and the effort in the travel through life is what do you do? What are you doing to get there? And in our case, sports was one of those places. We joined cross country and track, and that kept us in school. That kept us connected to academics. Yeah. I also was in the high school band for 4 years. I remember running in a meet in the afternoon on Friday, and then as soon as we get to the school, changing into my school uniform to get on the bus to go play at the football game because we had to march and all that kind of thing. And so
double duty.
Yeah. So that kept us connected and kept us in school. Many friends who were not connected to school dropped out of school, ended up having to get married because they got pregnant or something. Mm-hmm. But that was the effort. And then going on to college and making that happen. And so the impact is really what was the result? And we have a lot of successes. I think the McFarland movie is excellent because it all those guys are doing something constructive and contributing to their communities as a result of them being in school and finishing. And some of them are city councilmen, some of them are on the school board, some of them are educators. And then you got Thomas Valles, who's speaking all over the country about the impact that is made on his life and what should we do with kids. And our whole purpose in this particular book was for us to talk about the challenges that the kids in East Bakersfield High School had, and then the success they had through the effort that they put in to stay in school and to stay connected to the school through sports and other activities like that. And that's our big issue there. And then the impact is how do we give back? So we since I became my career and as an educator, that's me not only just having a career, but giving back to the next generation of kids. And so that's really where we want to go with this. And we talk about it. Mike Lindeman is a good friend of mine who's an educator in Madera.
Yes.
And we talk about this all the time, and we still stay connected because we're in the era that now how do we give back?
Yes.
And how do we impact the community that way? And so that's really where we want to go with all this.
In regards to giving back,
Yes.
how do you foresee that happening? Would it be nonprofit work or community service?
We do lots of things. Coaching to us was a way to give back.
Yes.
So when I coached, being an educator is kind of like a mission, as you know. We did that. We're still very involved with track and field and cross country. I'm a track starter in the San Joaquin Valley, and so you'll see me at track meets on 2 or 3 times a week.
Oh, with the gun?
With a gun. So I'm a track starter.
How does that work? What's the cadence for that?
On your marks, set, and the gun.
Oh, okay.
And I've been doing officiating since 1985. Since I became administrator, I officiate in different things in the long jump, the running events, high jump, on all the other events as well. So that's kind of a way for us to still give back to our community,
yes,
even though we're not. I also serve on the school board at Lemoore High School.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Been there for 12 years now.
Yes.
And
I want to tell you a little side story. Now that you're talking about giving back, that I just remembered.
Yeah.
So Jim, here's another way that I met Dr. Solis. I was trying to do this library project, and it was going to be in Tulare County. Mm-hmm. And so they were giving me a list of like, okay, here's who you have to get on board or on your side or aware of the project. And they brought your name up. They said, no, you got to get Dr. Solis. He's really big on these types of things, yes, especially small communities.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I reached out to you and you're like, hey, yeah. And I remember you kind of like giving me a blueprint. So I said, hey, it's got to go through this and this and this.
Right.
Identify these. And I remember kind of getting a playbook of direction from you. So I appreciate that. Yeah, so I can directly attest to this giving back.
Yeah. And that's really what it's all about now. It's how do we give back? Me playing my sax at different functions is really kind of a way to give back because I play the sax because that's what school gave me. And so...
And you had a grandson, right, at the school at one time? You had a relative at Stratford Elementary.
Actually, my granddaughters. They all went to Stratford Elementary School.
Okay. And it set the tone.
Yeah.
When you walk in, you hear that Christmas music.
Yeah.
Saxophone. It really set the tone for that.
And at Tulare County Office of Education, when I was the deputy superintendent there, Jim Vidak, our superintendent, he heard that I played the sax, and he says, "Hey, Lupe, you play sax?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "How about it?" By the way, he's also an AROSA alumni.
Yeah. Yes.
Jim Vidak.
Jim Vidak. Yeah. So we talked about the library in AROSA.
Right. So he says, "I understand you play the sax." And I said, "Well, yeah, I do." And he goes, "We're going to have this big conference on Friday. I'd like for you to play as they're coming in, And I'm going, well, I don't know. And
what was your hesitation?
Well, everybody knows me as the deputy superintendent of the county, and nobody knows that I play the sax because I really don't advertise, and because I'm not a quote unquote professional, but I still like to play. So I'm playing, and I wear this fedora so that there's a little bit of a disguise, sort of.
Yeah.
So I'm over in the corner, and I'm playing my sax, and it's at the at that center down in Tulare by the ag farm is the
ag center.
Yeah.
What were your song selections for that walk-in?
The only ones I like are the oldies but goodies.
Okay.
Let's get it on, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I'm playing, and pretty soon people say, "Wow, that's pretty interesting," Yeah. So I play all those songs.
Any Kenny G?
Yeah, I do. I play some
Songbird.
Songbird, yeah, of course.
Nice.
Yeah. And so then Jim introduces me, and I'd like to introduce our saxophonist, Dr. Guadalupe Solis, and everybody goes, "What?"
Put you on the spot there.
Yeah.
Multi-talented.
Yeah. So then after that, I did a lot of playing in Tulare County, and
the signature sax riff that I think of from the 80s is Careless Whisper.
Careless Whisper.
Do you have that one?
I do. I play that.
You know which one too?
Yeah. Yeah, I play pretty much any song you want.
Well, you know, I want to say you were playing in the 80s.
Right.
The 80s for me was the heyday of the sax solo.
Right.
Every hit song, did you notice that? Like Man Eater, and they had to have that solo,
Yeah.
the sax solo. And I'm like, let's bring that back.
Yeah.
Well, that was back when they actually used instruments to play.
Oh, yeah,
before
that's
the
right.
synthesizers
Synthesizer.
and
You're
stuff.
right.
Yeah. So I mean, to have a band, and I mean, we just had
Let's Go Bowling.
Let's Go Bowling, and
Yeah.
just to hear the instruments play is just, you know, it's always something.
And I don't play in a band because I just don't have time to practice
Rehearsal.
with a group and all that. So what I do is I have a background tracks, and I play the lead in the song.
Oh, okay.
And so
Is it therapeutic to you? Do you?
I love it.
Do you play it at home just to
All the
relax?
time,
Yeah.
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 Does your wife play an instrument?
she does not, but she will ask, "Are you playing today?" And so,
She's your number one fan.
oh yeah, she's
Well, it's always good to have someone to play. You know, no offense, Robert, but if you come home and your husband is playing percussion, you know, it's like, oh, I had a bad day. I don't really want to hear that right now.
No
Now,
cymbals.
but if you played sax, maybe even a classic guitar or piano, like I had
the piano.
when I was in college, I had a neighbor above me that played piano.
Right.
And I used to always come home from work late at night, and she'd always say, like, "I'm so sorry you're coming home." And I go, "No, it is winding me down."
Yeah.
Like, just to hear I go, "You could suck and I'd still love you." You know, it's like, and I'd have a glass of wine and just
Yeah.
relax and just slowly fall asleep to her playing the piano.
My wife actually has a favorite song, and her favorite song is a Celine Dion song. It's called "Falling Into You."
I'm going to have to hear that. I don't think I know that one.
And it's beautiful
Falling
song.
Into You.
And it sounds really great on an alto sax.
Oh, yeah.
It's very
And that's what you
sensuous.
play, the alto?
I play alto, but I also play. I have all four.
Which one were you?
So I played alto. I did tenor for a little bit, but then it's a long story, but I had a C melody sax.
Yes.
And so it's a classic.
no idea what that is.
So, but it's clarinet.
Is that the one upstairs?
Yeah, it's clarinet music. And so it
Right.
was kind of interesting because I was sitting with the clarinets and
Right.
I don't like this. I like the gold
Yes.
alto. So I sat with the altos. I ended up getting an alto sax.
Oh, okay.
So, because I didn't want to play with the clarinets. You know, it was
Were you in
amazing.
high school? Throughout high school you played?
Yeah, I played it all through high school.
Yeah, marching
eighth
band?
grade marching.
Okay, so I think
Yeah.
all of us might have experienced at least one time the Visalia band review.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and then we
I love that. That's in October. I try to go every year.
So East Bakersfield would go to the Long Beach band review.
You guys went to Long Beach?
wow.
Yeah. So you got
Well, they had money. Yeah.
The Blades had
the
money.
Blades had money. No. So we would go to the Long Beach band review, and you talk about competitive. It was Anaheim High School, and
These are Rose Bowl
big
status.
Oh yeah, big. I mean, we did good, but
Yeah.
I don't think we ever won anything.
Do you remember what triggered that nerve to be able to play in a band?
Yeah, well, I've had some really good music people, and their biggest thing was you got to listen, and if you could listen, because you had to blend in and make it work. But for me, I've always I remember my uncle gave me a play accordion, a little toy accordion. And I learned to play a couple of songs on that accordion. And I thought, oh, this is really cool. And I must have been a fifth grader or something like that. And then, so sometime in the sixth grade, they introduced the flutophone.
Yeah, I remember. I
that.
played the flutophone.
Yeah. So they
Twilight, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is the
Yeah.
first song.
And so I loved that. And then so I bought my sax in junior high school. And it was one of those music stores where you rent to own kind of a thing. And I think I paid $800 for my sax. So it was a really nice sax. And it was a really expensive. $800 in those days was a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But I had that sax for a long time until I got to be a senior at Fresno Pacific. And I needed $500 to finish. So I went to the true story. I went to the
Pawn shop?
registrar. No, the registrar. Adina Schmidt, and I said, I need $500, and all I got is my sax. Will you guys give me $500 and let me finish school? And she said, let me check it out, but yes. And so I hawked my sax at Fresno Pacific. Years later, I tried to buy it back, and they didn't have it. I don't know what happened to it or whatever, but
So the school accepted it as payment.
Yeah.
That's in the books.
But
That has
I
to be in the
love
books.
it. And when I tell that story, people said, "You got to be kidding me!" At an institution, but back then, I think there were like less than 300 undergrad class.
Yeah.
At Fresno Pacific College.
What year was this?
Like 74.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wanted to explore very quickly the different Hall of Fames.
Well,
So the first one I know is Lemoore High School.
right.
What was that one for?
That was because I was a track coach, and in track, we were undefeated for 10 years. And
You never lost for 10 years.
yes, and in track,
What's the secret to that?
you work hard.
And I'm going to say a side note here. My daughter, I coach tennis,
Oh, there you go.
and my daughter was telling me just this weekend was like, Dad, she's going to be my number one tennis player next year by default, not by
Right.
because she's really good. She's okay. So, but by default, and she's like, you're not carrying enough this year than you did last year. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, we're not even going to make playoffs. I already know we're not going to make playoffs. And I go, I could only teach you and coach you so far. You got to take the knowledge that we taught you and then run with it and try to remember it. You come to practice every day like you're starting all over again.
Yeah.
But for you to do that 10 years in a row, you would say, okay, well, maybe the players are that good.
Yeah.
But then you got to give yourself credit, because if you're holding the standards up to that high and you're still winning 10 years in a row,
Well,
geez.
there's two things in track and field I think are very important to be competitive. One is that you got to have a lot of athletes, and I had average around 70 to 80 girls out for track, which is really good.
Yeah.
And then within those 70 to 80 girls, we were real fortunate. We had some really good, talented kids. I spent a lot of time, as you know, a lot of it is just talking to the kids, interacting with the kids, building their confidence. The workouts, of course, are important, but more importantly is that connection that you have with those kids that are willing to work as hard as they can, not just for themselves, although most of them don't think it's for themselves. They think it's for you. But I've had Valley champions and had an All-American. Probably one of the greatest athletes we ever had was a girl, was a number 2 long jumper in the country. Her name was Dorothea Gaffney, and she jumped 19 feet 1 inch at the state meet her senior year. And
From Lemoore.
and by the way, only got second to a girl from Southern California.
Did she end up in the Olympics at all? Or?
No, she was invited to the Pan Am Games, and she went on to COS and was, I think, won the state at community college and jumped 19 feet 2 inches. Her brother, George Gaffney, jumped over about 26 feet or something like that at Fresno State, and he was like number 6 in the world or something like that. So, and you got to remember, Lemoore High School has a great tradition of track and field. You got Tommy Smith, who was an Olympic champion back in.
Do you know who that is, Jim?
No.
Remember the Olympics when they had the protest and they had the black glove fist up?
Oh, yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
He's from Lemoore.
Oh.
I just learned that recently.
Wow.
Yeah, but so all the kids, there's been a lot of a good track feeder program from the elementary schools to the high school.
Were you there with Tommy?
I was not there when he was there. He was way before my time, but that was one of the reasons I got the Hall of Fame for that, and also CIF recognized you as a Coach of the Year for women's track and field back in 1984. So that was kind of
congratulations.
Yeah,
on that.
But that's due to the kids. They really did well. And then the other one is East Bakersfield High School. That was probably a little different because, as I said, I was a runner and I was the number 3 man on the varsity team. but I think that was more because of how I had what I had accomplished in my career in education and my involvement in education and all of that. So that was for that. And then the one at Fresno Pacific was because I was part of the whole team was inducted in the Hall of Fame. So it wasn't just me. I think it was our senior year. We had a dual meet against Fresno State, and Fresno State is a Division I NC2A, and Fresno Pacific is an AIA school, which is a little bit smaller.
So it's like Division 1, 2, 3,
and then AIA. And we beat them.
And AIA beats Division. Wow.
And
was it in the papers and everything?
Oh yeah, it was a big deal.
Wow.
And I think that was like 1973, I think.
Do you remember that meet?
It was held at Radcliffe Stadium.
Oh, yeah. Right there on Blackstone.
Yeah.
Do you remember that meet, though? Do you recall?
Yeah. Everybody's all excited.
What was the reaction from Fresno State?
Well,
sour grapes or?
Well, all I know is that we have friends that run at Fresno State.
Oh, okay.
So we're still friends. And we don't rub it in, but we do mention it every now and then.
It comes up.
So Fresno Pacific University, that was a very worthy induction Hall of Fame for them.
Yeah.
So the whole team was inducted, and they did a very nice thing at the Hall of Fame dinner. When that happened, they invited us all in. They introduced us all at the dinner. And
is it like the NFL where there's a jacket or some sort of commencement?
Different schools is different. Fresno Pacific, I think, gave us a pin or something like that. Fresno East Bakersfield gives you a plaque. It's a very nice plaque that you get. Lemoore High School, they get a plaque with your picture and when you coached and all that, and that was good. Except that it's the picture from when you were coach. So as you get older, it doesn't quite match.
It's not like you get a brick like at Fresno State with your name on it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's an inside joke. Sorry.
Yeah, I got to share with him though because this bothers me.
It's an educational topic. This segment.
So I'm in year 21 of teaching, right? When I want to say 12 years ago now, Jim calls me out of the blue. Now I've known him as a photojournalist his whole career, 27 years with all these different TV channels, and he calls me and he says, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting into teaching." And I said, "Man, I think it'd be a great move because you have a lot of real world experience."
Right.
So he ends up getting into teaching, and I want to say about his 5th year. It was about your 5th year.
Yeah.
So he's 5 years in. Here I'm in.
No, actually, years. I was at Liberty, so it was right when we got back from COVID. So easy, my eighth
year teaching,
year,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm in year like 18 at this point. And I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job. I'm grinding away.
Right.
And he's like, "Hey man, I got selected as teacher of Teacher of the Year or Teacher of the Month?"
No, of the month, yeah.
Educator of the Month by Channel
24.
24.
Yeah.
And they give him a brick with his name on it at Fresno State. Here I am 18 years in. I don't have even a certificate. I was so jealous. I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
I was trying to be happy for you.
Yeah, you were happy and kicking a can down the street, probably all pissed off.
It's
But,
sour.
Yeah.
so that's that inside little twist of
He's got the break and the commencement, and I'm still searching for mine.
But nothing compared to Dr. Sleaze.
We're not in the Hall of Fame.
No, Hall of Fame, and our name in 3 different schools.
Well, I know I've said several times that I've been really fortunate. I've had some great mentors, and I have. When I list the people that I've known as coaches, for example, I've learned a great deal from all of them, including the ones that coached me. Because I think most of the people that I had as coaches were more interested about me as a person than me, the athlete, and that was critical. Yeah. And I did get hurt, and I still have probably 2 years of eligibility. If I keep telling my coach, I see him every now and then, I said, "Do you think I could come back?" But and I kid around, but I had a fracture my son junior year, and
like a stress fracture,
and I was not able to run again, and to this day I can't. I have some issues, but he I remember when he said, "Lupe, you were asked to come to this institution to get an education and to find your career. And that's what it's about. So you need to stay, because I thought, once you get hurt, you're gone. In some institutions, maybe that's what happens.
Yeah.
That didn't happen to me. And so
They honored your scholarship.
Oh, absolutely. I was grateful. They've been very supportive. This is at Fresno Pacific. And so I am here partly, if not mainly because of that. Same thing with my Bakersfield College coach. He, first thing he says, Dan, I need to talk to you. And he says, what are you interested in? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do with yourself? Not, well, how fast are you going to run this year? Kind of thing. So I thought that was really great. And then once I became a coach, I've been fortunate to work with some of the best coaches in the world. I coached as an assistant to a guy by the name of Dennis DeWitt out of Madera High School, who had Valley Championship kids. Dave Dotson over at Sanger, who is named a stadium after him, and he coached from 19.
Oh, you worked with him?
Yeah, I was an assistant with him. Then I was an assistant, and then I was at Lemoore High School. I was hired, and Bob Fraley, who was at the Fresno State track coach afterwards, and he became the NC2A track coach of the year, and he's a phenomenal coach.
What would you say to a coach who's just starting out their career in terms of how to get the best from their athletes?
Well, first of all, and the gentleman before talked about this a little bit. You have to do your research. What is it that you're going to coach, and what is it all about, and become the best at that. When I was coaching at Lemoore High School, I was asked to go and speak in clinics for coaches at different places, and that helped tremendously, because I met all the world coaches, because they were there, and so that gave me some insights on my craft, which was coaching track and field. So and then I was fortunate enough to also be invited to the Olympic training camp in Colorado Springs, and I was there for a week, and it was a learn by doing kind of a thing. So you learned everything from the coaches who were Olympic coaches.
Wow.
So it was great. So I felt like that gave me the work, the knowledge, and the strategies on how to get kids to get them motivated to run. Because I'll tell you what, girls and telling them they got to run 12 miles today does not work very well. So you have to do some things to motivate them to get them to do.
You got to get creative.
Absolutely.
You say, and that actually says a lot, because I'm having trouble, Robert, if I don't mind giving you my 2 cents on coaching girls tennis.
Right.
I was thrown into it. I actually volunteered to do it because my daughter wanted to play.
Yeah.
And one of the things was I was an activities director for 9 years. So my oldest daughter, I had that bond with her, and now my youngest daughter said, "Let's play tennis and let's do this." So, but with that being said, I suck as a coach. So, and I say that very, honestly, because usually coaches go into something because they need a warm body to just be out there. Yeah. And I love tennis. I love the sport. I played in high school. We won actually Valley or League, one of those in my time in high school.
I didn't know that.
So so I have a white letter and the whole thing. And so my daughter was the worst critic. Dad, I'm like, you're not doing this. Why are you making us run? It's not all about running. It's all about this. And I'm like, I'm YouTubing it. So going back to the day where you didn't have.
Yeah, we didn't have any of that.
No, but I commend the fact that your district or admin were putting you around other coaches to and get you into that.
Investing in you.
Yeah. And I wish I had that, because this year my daughter's like really ripping me and saying, you don't care. And I'm like, I'm tired because I don't know what else to do, Yeah. And so, I feel like I need to step it up, or maybe be a part of these coaches things if I'm going to do this
coaching
long term.
clinic.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, and I'll tell you my first experience. The first clinic I ever went to was the funniest all got out. I had never been to a clinic before, and Bob Fraley says, "We're going to the clinic at Stanford." And I go, "Okay." So we get in this yellow station wagon in those days, and we drive up to Stanford. And we get there, and we have the all-day clinic, and it was great. I mean, you got to see all the coaches from Oregon State, USC, UCLA. These guys are phenomenal people. So at the end of the thing, we have dinner and we eat dinner with a couple of the coaches, and you get to talk to them on a one-to-one basis and stuff. And I'm waiting. Okay, I'm thinking, okay, now we're going to go into the hotel, right? Because it's now 9:00.
Mm-hmm.
So we drive over to my friend Bob's for driving the station wagon. He drives over to the parking lot at Stanford. And he says, "I'm in the back seat. You're in the front seat."
Oh, that was your hotel?
That was where we stayed. And I said, "What if I need to go to the bathroom?" He says, "See that door right there goes to the showers in the gym." And I go, "Okay." Oh. And that was my first experience about, going to clinics.
Being
and budgets.
And it was funnier and all get out, but it was great, and we did a few of those, but after that, I think we ended up at hotel rooms and stuff. But I remember
started in the station wagon.
The station wagon in the Lemoore High School station wagon. That was
okay.
funny.
Oh, so that Lemoore had a station wagon.
They had.
You know what? I think my school had one as well.
And it said Lemoore Union High School.
Oh, it was branded
on the side.
Oh, wow.
So you couldn't go to the bar,
Sure, yeah. You're
Smart.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the connection with the Hall of Fame's things, and those are very nice and appreciative and so forth. But I think it's. And I had my college mentor, Cy Barch. When I became an administrator until the day he died, he would come to visit my office every year that I was an administrator, and I was an administrator for a long time. And he would stick his head in the door and say, "Lupe, I'm just here to ask you. You still know what this is all about?" And I go, "Absolutely, it's about the kids." And he said, "That's right." And he would leave.
Wow.
And that's all he ever asked. He says, "Do you know what this is still about?" And I go, "Yes, it's about the kids." And as long as that was the focus, he said, "You're going to be fine." And I thought that was the best advice I ever have gotten from anybody.
That is great. It's a bumper sticker. It's
there you
about
go.
the kids.
It's about the
and
kids.
you said something else earlier too that I think you should give yourself a pat on the back, and I think all three of us should say this is you loved your job.
Oh,
you
I
loved what you do,
yeah.
and I think it shows to the students, to your own kids, to your family. You come home, and I mean, I worked in the industry of television for 27 years, and there was times I wanted to kick my dog when I got home. I literally went, and I love my dog.
Yeah.
I come home now, and I'm just like, sure, there's moments you come home, but I think it says a lot. And I was just having this conversation with my daughter yesterday that it says a lot when your kids see you coming home positive about work,
Right.
And it makes them want to have that same drive for a career. And so McKinley's been having some issues. My daughter was, I don't know if I want to go into this and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you really love your job? And I said, yeah, I do. It's, and I look forward to going to work every day.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned earlier that I'm on the school board. Yeah. I love being on the school board. And I know a lot of people think that being on the school board is probably one of the worst jobs you could do.
Tough decisions have to be made.
They do. But you got, as long as you keep the focus on the kids, then everything's fine. And I feel very fortunate again that we have, I think, that we have a very good board.
Yes.
And two of them were my former students, including the superintendent, who grew up in Stratford.
That's right. Miguel, right?
Miguel, Dr.
Miguel Guerrero.
Right. And I remember when I was the principal, he was a student. And I remember, they were teenagers, and I chased them around like they always do. But I love going to our board meetings and studying for our board meetings and making sure that the focus is still on the kids. And we have one other educator that actually taught at Lemoore High School, Lois Eubanks, and she's been on the board the longest. And for her, it's all about the kids. You'll see her at just about more events than I can go to. And I try to go to as many events as possible just to see our kids. I don't know them by name because that's not my job. My job is policy making of the district and so forth. But it's still, as long as it's you know what it's about. And in this case, it's still about the kids, and that's got to be the focus. And I think sometimes people lose sight of what they're doing, And so it creates some issues, but you're absolutely correct. If you don't love your job, you're going to die on your job.
You say it's about the kids. It got me really thinking about this conversation I had with a friend, a fellow educator a while back. So Jim, I don't know if I shared this with you, but I had, we were eating, and then we were talking about our children,
Sure.
at home. And he says, you know what? When the kids all move out of the home, I don't know what else I'm going to have in common with my wife, because we've made it so much about the kids that our relationship has taken a back seat. And it kind of got me thinking about the relationship with my colleagues at work. And it's the reason I started the social gathering that we do, because I feel like there are teachers who take it's about the kids to an extreme,
Right.
that now your colleague is chopped liver. They're just a tool, a means to an end.
Right.
And there's not that mutual respect or admiration for each other that makes it feel like, well, I'm here for the kids. I don't know who you're here for, but I'm definitely not here for you. Right. And
Well,
that doesn't, that,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think that's an extreme.
Yeah, that's kind of extreme. But one time I hired a teacher, and I hired many teachers, but I hired a teacher, and he says, "Well, what are your expectations?" And I said, "There's 3 things that I want to expect from you as a teacher." I said, "Number 1, you got to do a good job in the classroom, of course. Number 2, you got to be a part of the team of the school." Which means that you got to support each other. You got a team. And number 3, that you keep learning about your craft. And
I like that.
And that's it. And if you do all those 3 things, you will be in education for a long time. Because if one of those is not good, then it's going to be tough. So it's very important to be part of the team and be a positive impact on the team.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the marigold versus the walnut tree comparison? You ever heard that one?
I've heard of it. Remind me again.
So the marigold is a very good partner plant. So when you're planting tomatoes,
Yes.
the
yes,
marigold
yes.
thrives
Yeah, right.
next to it. A walnut tree will suck all of the water and in some cases toxify the soil.
Right.
So you want to, in education as colleagues, you want to be the marigold and not the walnut tree.
Right. Yeah, and I think if you do those things, you're going to be in education for a long time, and you'll have a good time in that. And I think kids will remember those things. Just before I left, my granddaughters surprised us. They came from they're both in college, and so they came home to visit, and they came to visit us, and it was great to see them.
Are these the ones from Stratford or?
Yeah, the ones that went to Stratford. They're now at University of Cal Lutheran.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And so they go to school there. But, and then the other thing is I run into, and I get calls from some of my students, and they're retiring. And I go, you're retiring? How old are you? But I forget that, when I started teaching, I was 24 years old. So,
oh, you were really young.
Yeah. And so the difference between a high school teacher at 24 and an 18-year-old is not that much,
Yes.
And I loved at Lamar High School. The principal used to tell me, he said, "Lupe, you got to wear a tie because I can't tell the difference between you and the kids." And so, we recently had a breakfast for all the new teachers and everything. And I go, "Are you sure you're not in the 8th grade or something?"
They look young.
They look very young.
Wow. So speaking about new teachers, what advice would be your ultimate advice for somebody who's coming into the classroom as a first-year teacher and they're being challenged right now? Because, they have the honeymoon phase and then it gets real tough. What would you say to someone who's trying to deal with some challenges in the classroom?
You got to build relationships with kids. That's number 1. I'll never forget the first year I taught, had this one student, and I always remember this because that has set for the rest of my career the importance of building relationships. There was this lady at the high school, or at Lemoore High School where I was at. They had a rally the first day of the school, and all the new teachers got introduced. And while that was happening, that year when I was a first-year teacher, the student comes walking across the stage, and it's this tall girl that, she was looked very intimidating kind of thing. And some other teacher leans over to me and says, "You don't want that student in your class." And I go, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah." And I thought, "Oh my God," So sure enough, the first day
there she is.
I run home. I run to my classroom and I look at my schedule, and she's not on my roster. So I'm going, good. Well, in high school they change schedules for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks later, here's this lady, and I'm going, oh my God, and she tells me, "I'm in your class," and I go, "You sure you want to be in the class?" I'm trying to talk her out of being in my class.
Wow.
And she says, "No, I want to be in your class." And so she says, "Where do I sit down?" I said, "Anywhere you want." And it was an arts and crafts class, so it was okay. And so as she's going away, she says, "By the way, nice dress." That's all I said. So she wins and sit down. So every day I would say, "Nice dress," and she would say, "Thank you." And then years later, in about April, comes along, and the kids are being kind of rowdy and everything. And I said, "Hey, you guys gotta need to settle down. I'm gonna go outside, take a drink of water, and be right back." And I expect everybody to be quiet. I'm going to start writing referrals. That was the threat. So I stepped out and could start to come back. All of a sudden I hear this voice inside the classroom. And it's the student. And she's admonishing the students. And some of the words were a little bit, you can't repeat them. But so I waited till she finished. And then I opened the door and I walked in like I'm in control, and everybody was settled down and everything. A few years later, I'm walking down this mall, and I see the student coming towards me, and I lean over and I tell my wife, "That's Carol." And so she had heard about Carol because I talked about Carol. And she walked up and she gives me a big hug, lifts me off the floor, puts me down, and she says, "Mr. Solis, so good to see you." I said, "You are the best teacher I ever had in high school."
Wow.
And I said, "Really?" And I thought that was really great. But then it occurred to me that I only had her one period her senior year. And I was the best teacher she ever had. And I asked her, "Why do you say that?" She says, "Because you're the only one that really paid me a compliment. And I know I didn't always wear the nicest dress." And that was really meant a lot to me. And that stood with me forever as a teacher, because it reminded me that what we might think is not a compliment and what they need is very minute, but very important to them.
Very impactful.
Yes. And so after that, I just kind of went, "Oh my God, this is horrible." And so you got to treat kids with respect, even the kids that don't get respected very much, because you never know. You may be the person that makes them impact on that kid. And we can share. I mean, you can ask most anybody to explain or tell you about their experience with a teacher or their favorite teacher. The teacher may not remember, but they remember. The student remembers.
Oh, yeah.
They'll tell you. Do you know? Mm-hmm. I was giving a talk I did lots of workshops as part of my job at Tulare County Office of Ed. And I was giving this workshop, and there's this young lady sitting in the front row. And she, after the workshop was over, she walks up to me and she says, "Mr. Solis, I don't know if you remember me, but I was a student at Lemoore High School. And I remember I got in trouble for something, and I never get in trouble. And you just told me, just relax, go home, have a great summer, and you would be fine." And I thought you were my career was going to be blemished because of this one referral. But you just said that, and that was all you needed to say. And then you walked away. And I thought, and I said, "And you remember that 20 years ago?" And she says, "Yeah, I still remember that to this day." And she's now a teacher.
Wow.
And so I thought, oh my God. So we just don't know what impact we make on certain students.
You're so right.
And so you got to be prepared to be positive all the time.
When you made and Robert, you've said this a couple of times, but you've made a comment as far as how did we give back? Those stories right there are all about it. Being able to be there for that kid who is having a bad day, or like just this year. And I mean, this is actually becoming Too Hungry Teacher episode if you don't think about it.
actually is.
So we have another podcast that we
could put it on both.
We can,
Let's do that.
So, but the kids that have a different, and I'm going to say it, I don't care. They have a smell.
Yeah,
because they're having some
absolutely.
issues, with hygiene.
Oh, sure.
And I've had a couple, but I don't know how to do it without. My wife's like, don't get in trouble, don't say anything, but without embarrassing them.
But if you have a relationship with kids, you can talk to kids,
because they know where you're coming from.
They know where you're coming from. My wife and I just finished working at a boys' camp, six weeks up in the Sierra, in the Sequoia National Park. The camp's been around for 75 years, and it's for boys. And the boys that come there are mostly from poverty. And it was established by a man by the name of R.M. Piles in 1949. And so my wife went to work as the nurse, and I was her assistant. And so I just volunteered because I love the camp. I was there as a counselor when I was in college, and it did a lot for me as a person. So we were there, and of course she did all the medical stuff and everything. And some of those kids needed to take a shower, and she would say, "You know what? You need to wash your feet before I deal with that blister. So go take a shower and come back." But she had established that rapport the first day of camp by going around and visiting with all the kids. And then and you're gonna have, and I think my wife's an excellent nurse. She's been a school nurse for 27 years, and she's got that good connection with kids. That she can have those conversations. But she can talk to them about all kinds of stuff, and it was all boys.
Yeah.
And but it's difficult. Like you said, it is difficult.
Do you remember Saigon Camp, Robert?
Yes,
Do you remember Saigon?
Saigon,
Right.
yeah.
In
So
Springville?
do you remember the number one rule every morning? What did you have to do with your sleeping bag?
Roll it up.
No. We're staying there a week.
Air it out.
Air
Air it out. We always had to put our sleeping bags. Do you know why they did that?
No.
Is because there was always somebody that happened to pee their bed.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to make sure everybody was putting their sleeping bag. I learned this as a counselor. You got to make sure you put your sleeping bag out on the railing, because you never know if that one kid is the one that has a pee bed.
Oh, I never.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like these little scenarios, these little comments that you're like,
Yeah.
there's ways of doing it without, coming up to a student and saying, hey, if you're having an issue, just I'll pat you on the back, or, just saying you could leave, all these little, and as an educator, I never would have imagined myself being an educator, but I love all these talks because I love being able to help future teachers have an idea about whether or not they want to pursue this as a career.
I used to do a workshop for new teachers, and we would talk about expectations, because I felt that in my career as a student, the expectations were very low. I remember when I became a principal, my wife and I were in town in Bakersfield, and I ran across my band director. And I have to say that I was a challenge. I was one of the kids that
Push the limits.
push the limits on this guy, and he was an excellent music teacher. Everything I've learned about music is from him, and he was really good. But you're a teenager, so you're doing your thing,
Testing the limits.
and so we're in the supermarket, and we run across our band director, and he looks at me and he says, "Lupe Solis, how are you doing?" I hadn't seen him in, I don't know, 15 years or so. And right about that time, my wife comes around the corner and she says, "Oh, this is a pleasure seeing two of my former students." And she used to be in the choir. And Anita was a good student. So I said, and she says, "We're married." And he goes, "You're married? Like, what?"
You're with him?
You're with him? You made a mistake, buddy, girl.
Yeah.
And so, and he says, "Well, what do you do now?" And I kind of sheepishly said, "Well, I'm the principal at Lemoore High School." And he goes, "You're the principal at Lemoore High School?" And looks at my wife, and she shakes her head up and down. And he goes, "Yeah, he's the principal at Lemoore High School." Wow. Well, congratulations. I am so proud that you're But on the other hand, has she not been there, I'm not sure I would feel comfortable telling
Right,
you.
yeah.
but and it happened one other time when I went there, because when I was in high school, my grades were not the best, and in those days they did IQ test, and so my IQ was not real good because of my language and for other reasons. And I came across my counselor, and she says, where do you live, Lupe? And I go, I said, I live in Lemoore. She says, oh, you're in the military. I said, no, I work at the high school. She says, oh, are you the bus driver? And I said, no. And then about that time, my friend Bob comes unglued and said, listen, this guy teaches at Lemoore High School. He's a Spanish teacher and blah, blah, blah. And he goes on and on. And then she says, wow. She didn't stop there. She goes, what school did you go to? I said, I went to Fresno Pacific University. And she goes, how did you get in there? And I thought, oh my God.
But those are the people that have that stigma of you after you went on, right? They didn't expect you to be a,
yeah. And
Hall of Famer
and in
or
all
whatever.
defense, I mean, all she knew was Lupe Solis from my Cume folder,
Yeah.
That's not who I am today, and so forth. And because people change, but that's how sometimes we have that kind of picture of our students too,
Yeah.
And so some of those things, you deal with, and hopefully that everybody, we've all learned from all of those things. And
It's not where you start, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's where you finish.
It's the effort and the impact. And so
That's awesome. So I definitely want to make sure that we share about the book.
absolutely.
And that we get that link out there for you, because I think that's some great insight. Thank you for sharing all these lessons.
Yeah,
We'd like to
you're welcome.
revisit this when you get into the next Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. No, I think I'm done. Except
Are you?
yeah, no.
Well, let's try to reconnect after
Sure.
Japan.
Absolutely, it's going to be exciting to go to Japan. I'm going with 4 guys that we all ran together. One of them is my cardiologist, and we always make fun of that because we say we have a heart attack. We have our cardiologist.
He's
with us,
right here,
you know.
our resident cardiologist.
No,
We need to get one, Jim.
Right, yeah.
No, but seriously, I'm very excited about that. Not only to go see these kids from the Valley compete, but it's a great event. And then I'm going with some guys that really have meant a lot to me in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Mike Linneman, who's I've known since I was in 6th, 7th grade. Don Gregor's, we ran at Fresno Pacific College, and he's an amazing doctor in Fresno, and he's a great inspiration to a lot of kids because of where he grew up and how he became a doctor and so forth. And then we have another gentleman by the name of Don Chapins, who also is a runner from the Valley, but who's as a matter of fact, he's left today because he's going to climb Mount Fuji.
So he's already out there.
He's already there.
Wow. Okay,
And
man. So
it's going to be fun to see them, and then we're going to get to see and hopefully talk. And I know we will get to see Lalo Herrera,
Yes.
who's a great athlete
representing Mexico.
And you know what? They interviewed him in Spanish. His Spanish is phenomenal. He really does a great job. Very
That's so
humble
important.
guy.
Yes.
And by the way, all 3 of these athletes are very humble. Jana Prandini from Globus, very humble lady. She was when she went to Oregon, University of Oregon.
Yeah.
And she was a Division I 100 and 200 meter champion.
Wow. So it's the highest level for college.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
That's awesome.
So we're excited about that. We get to see all these kids. And,
Well, have an amazing trip, an amazing reunion with all your friends.
Absolutely.
We hope to see you again soon. If you guys like this episode, please follow Dr. Guadalupe Solis, his books, his journey, and his Hall of Fame career. And hopefully we can get him back on the show in the future.
I'd love to.
Thank you for coming. On behalf of Dr. Solis, James Chance, myself, Robbie Scerdo, we are signing out. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Please like and subscribe and give us feedback on what we can do in the future. Till next time, it's love, peace, and chicken grease. We're out.